My friends, I know there are times when you feel exhausted, physically, mentally, and spiritually. The weight of life presses down and you wonder if you can take another step. The struggles, the heartbreak, the disappointments, they pile up and you find yourself crying out, Lord, how much more can I take? I want to remind you today, God sees you. He knows the burdens that rest on your shoulders. He knows the nights you've spent tossing and turning, the prayers whispered in the silence of your heart. And let me tell you, you are not alone. Jesus himself said, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That is not just a verse, it is a promise. A promise that when your strength runs out, his strength steps in. Maybe you've been fighting battles no one else sees. Maybe you've been carrying pain that no one understands. But the God who created the stars, the God who breathes life into the world, is the same God who stands beside you today. He has not forgotten you. Some of you feel like giving up. You feel like the road is too long, the mountain too steep. But let me tell you this. God has brought you this far, and he will not abandon you now. Your trials are not the end of your story. When you are weak, that is when his strength shines brightest. When you are lost, that is when his guidance is most powerful. When you are tired, that is when he carries you. So I urge you today, don't give up. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing. Because the one who holds the universe in his hands is the same one holding you, and in due time he will lift you up. Rest in him, trust in him. He knows that you are tired, but he will give you the strength to go on. Amen. There are moments in life when you feel completely unseen, as if the world is moving on without noticing the weight you carry. You go through the motions, putting on a brave face, yet inside you are weary. You wonder if anyone truly understands the battles you fight, the silent struggles, the nights filled with tears, the questions that go unanswered. But there is one who sees it all. Nothing is hidden from his sight. He sees the pain you don't speak about, the burdens you don't share, and the moments when you feel like you can't take another step, when you feel alone, when the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders. He is watching over you with eyes full of compassion. He knows the disappointments that have drained your spirit, the setbacks that have made you question your path, and the heartbreak that lingers in the depths of your soul. He sees the exhaustion in your eyes, the way you push forward despite the heaviness in your heart. He understands the sacrifices you have made, the prayers you have whispered in the quiet of the night, and the doubts that sometimes creep into your mind. The world may overlook your struggles, but he never does. He is not distant or unaware. He sees beyond what others see. He sees the real you, the one who longs for peace, for relief, for a moment to breathe. He knows how hard you've tried, how much you've endured, and how desperately you long for breakthrough. Life has a way of piling burdens upon your shoulders. Responsibilities, expectations, hardships that seem to come one after another. You wake up each day carrying the weight of the past, the worries of the present, and the uncertainty of the future. You try to hold it all together, to be strong for yourself and for those who depend on you. But deep inside, you feel the exhaustion creeping in, the heaviness pressing down on your soul. There are days when the pressure becomes overwhelming, when the demands of life seem too much to bear. You carry the pain of disappointments, the fear of failure, and the anxiety of what lies ahead. You hold on to memories that hurt, regrets that won't let go, and questions that have no easy answers. You feel the weight of expectations from others, the need to be strong even when you're breaking inside. But you were never meant to carry it all by yourself. There is a strength greater than your own, a presence that walks with you through every storm. In the moments when you feel like collapsing under the weight, when you think no one understands the depth of your struggle, there is one who does. He sees the silent battles, the tears you wipe away before anyone notices, the prayers you whisper when no one is listening, the burdens you carry, the worries about your future, the pain of your past, the uncertainty of your present were never meant to be yours alone. There is a hand reaching out to help you, a love that longs to lift the heaviness from your heart. There is a peace that passes all understanding, a comfort that comes when you surrender the weight you were never meant to bear alone. Life places many demands upon you, pressures from work, responsibilities at home, the expectations of others, and the quiet struggles that no one else sees. You move through each day with the weight of unspoken worries, past regrets, and future uncertainties pressing down on your shoulders. You try to be strong, to push forward despite the exhaustion, to carry the burdens placed upon you without showing signs of weakness. Some days it feels like you are stretched beyond your limits, like you are carrying more than you were ever meant to bear. The worries of financial struggles, the stress of relationships, the pain of past mistakes, and the fear of what's ahead all pile up, making even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. You wake up feeling drained before the day has even begun, and yet you convince yourself to keep going because there is no other choice. You tell yourself that others are counting on you, that you must remain strong, that showing weakness is not an option. You hold everything inside, refusing to let anyone see the battle you are fighting within. But with each passing day, the weight becomes heavier, the burden harder to carry, and the exhaustion deeper than words can express. There are moments when you wonder if anyone truly understands what you are going through. If anyone sees the silent struggles that wear away at your heart. You long for relief, for rest, for even a brief moment to breathe without the weight of worry pressing down on your chest. You carry burdens that were never meant to be yours alone, fighting battles that were never meant to be fought in solitude. You push through the exhaustion, believing that no one else can carry what you are carrying, that no one else would understand the depth of your struggle. But you were not created to carry everything by yourself. The weight that drains your strength, the burdens that steal your peace, the silent struggles that no one else seems to notice, all of it was never meant to rest solely on your shoulders. There is a greater strength beyond your own, a presence that walks with you through every hardship, a love that does not abandon you in your weariness. There is a hand reaching toward you, ready to lighten the load, ready to carry what you cannot, ready to lift the weight that was never meant to be yours alone. There comes a time in life when the weight of everything becomes too much to bear. You push yourself forward, trying to stay strong, trying to hold everything together, but deep inside you are weary, not just tired in body, but tired in spirit, drained, exhausted, longing for relief. You wake up with a heaviness that lingers, a fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. You go through the motions, doing what needs to be done, yet inside you feel like you are running on empty. You have been carrying burdens for so long that they feel like they are a part of you. The burdens of worry, the burdens of guilt, the burdens of regret, the burdens of expectations that seem impossible to meet. You try to be everything for everyone, but in the process you lose pieces of yourself. You carry the weight of your past mistakes, the pain of rejection, the fear of what's ahead. You wonder if anyone sees, if anyone understands, if there is a place where your soul can finally find peace. Jesus knew that life would be heavy. He knew that there would be seasons of weariness, moments when the road feels too long and the burdens too great. That is why he spoke words that echo through time. Words that are an invitation to every tired heart. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. It is the kind of rest that reaches beyond the surface, that touches the places where exhaustion has settled in. It is the kind of rest that does not depend on circumstances, that does not fade when difficulties arise. It is a rest that goes beyond human understanding, beyond temporary relief, beyond anything the world can give. There is a place where you do not have to carry everything alone, where you do not have to pretend to be strong when you feel weak, where you can lay down the burdens that have weighed you down for so long. There is a refuge from the storm, a shelter in the midst of the struggle, a place where weary souls can finally breathe again. There is a love that does not demand more of you, but instead offers to lift you up, to hold you close, to remind you that you were never meant to walk this road alone. There are moments in life when you feel like you've been waiting forever. You pray, you hope, you believe, yet nothing seems to change. You watch as others move forward, as doors open for them, while you remain stuck in the same place. It feels as though Time is passing you by, as though your prayers have been unheard, as though the breakthrough you've been longing for is nowhere in sight. You wonder why things aren't happening the way you expected. You question whether you've done something wrong, whether you've missed your opportunity, whether your dreams will ever come to pass. The waiting feels endless, and doubt begins to creep in. You start to wonder if God has forgotten you, if He is even listening, if He truly has a plan for your life. The silence can feel overwhelming, the uncertainty unbearable, the delay discouraging. But what if the delay is not a denial? What if the waiting is not wasted time, but preparation for something greater? God's timing is not like ours. He sees what we cannot see, knows what we do not know, and understands what we cannot comprehend. When we feel like things are taking too long, He is working behind the scenes, aligning everything perfectly. He is shaping us, strengthening us, refining us, so that when the moment arrives, we are ready to step into His perfect plan. There is a reason for every season, a purpose in every delay. What feels like a setback is often a setup for something far greater than you imagine. The doors that didn't open were never meant for you. The opportunities that slipped away were never part of your destiny. The struggles you've faced, the disappointments you've endured, the patience you've been forced to develop, they are all part of the journey, all part of a divine process that is leading you to something far beyond what you can see right now. God is never late, never in a hurry, never caught off guard. He is orchestrating every detail, weaving together a plan that is far beyond human understanding. When the time is right, what was once unclear will make perfect sense. The waiting will not have been in vain. The struggles will not have been without purpose. The moments of doubt, the nights of tears, the seasons of uncertainty, all of it will have been shaping you, preparing you, molding you for the exact moment when everything falls into place. There are times in life when you feel like you have nothing left to give. The battles you fight seem unending, the weight you carry grows heavier by the day, and the strength you once had feels like it's slipping away. You try to stay strong, to push forward despite the exhaustion, but deep inside, you feel weak. Your spirit is weary, your heart is burdened, and your mind is filled with doubts about whether you have the strength to keep going. It's in these moments of weakness that faith becomes your anchor. Faith is not about having all the answers, not about seeing the way forward with perfect clarity. Faith is about trusting even when you cannot see, believing even when the circumstances seem impossible, holding on when everything in you wants to give up. It is the unshakable confidence that you are not alone, that there is a strength beyond your own carrying you through the storm. Faith does not remove the challenges of life, but it gives you the strength to endure them. It lifts you when you fall, steadies you when you stumble, and gives you the courage to face another day. It reminds you that even in your weakest moments, you are not powerless. Even when you feel like you cannot take another step, there is a power within you that is greater than the obstacles before you. Faith whispers to your heart that no matter how broken you feel, no matter how weary you are never beyond hope. There is a strength that does not come from human willpower, a strength that is not dependent on physical ability or mental resilience. It is the kind of strength that carries you when you feel like collapsing, the kind of strength that sustains you in the darkest nights, the kind of strength that gives you peace when everything around you is chaos. It is the strength that comes from knowing that you are held by something far greater than yourself. Faith does not mean that the road will always be easy, but it means that no matter how difficult the journey, you will never walk it alone. It is in the moments when you feel the weakest that faith steps in and reminds you that true strength does not come from what you can do on your own. It comes from knowing that even in your frailty, even in your doubts, even in your struggles, you are being held, supported, and strengthened by a power that never fails. There are moments in life when you feel like you're running on empty. The trials seem unending. The burdens grow heavier, and the strength you once had begins to fade. You try to push forward, to stand tall despite the weight pressing down on your shoulders, but deep inside you feel weak. You wonder how much longer you can hold on, how much more you can endure, how you will ever find the strength to keep going. It's in these moments when your strength is gone, when your spirit is weary, that faith steps in. Faith is not about never feeling weak. It is about knowing where to turn when you do. It is about believing in a power greater than your own, trusting in a strength that does not run dry. When your body is tired, when your mind is filled with doubts, when your heart is heavy with burdens too great to carry alone, faith becomes the force that lifts you up, the foundation that keeps you standing when everything else is crumbling. Faith reminds you that you are not alone, that you are not forgotten, that even in your weakest moments, there is a source of strength available to you. It does not mean the challenges will disappear, but it means you will have the power to face them. Faith is the voice that whispers, keep going, when everything inside you wants to give up. It is the quiet assurance that no matter how impossible things seem, there is a way forward, a purpose in the struggle, a plan unfolding beyond what you can see. Strength does not always look like standing tall without fear. Sometimes strength is simply having the faith to take one more step. Sometimes it's choosing to believe when doubt is loud. Sometimes it's holding on even when you don't see the outcome. Faith transforms weakness into endurance, exhaustion into perseverance, despair into hope. It allows you to walk through the fire without being consumed, to face the storm without being overtaken, to press forward even when the path ahead is unclear. Faith is not about never feeling weak. It is about knowing that even in your weakness there is a strength greater than your own holding you up. It is about trusting that no matter how heavy the burdens, no matter how fierce the battle, no matter how weary you feel, you are never fighting alone. It is in those moments of greatest weakness that faith reveals its greatest power, the power to carry you when you can no longer carry yourself. There is no love on this earth that compares to the love of God. Human love can be conditional, fragile, and inconsistent, but God's love remains unshaken through every storm, through every failure, through every season of life. It is not based on how good you are, how perfect your faith is, or how many times you've fallen and gotten back up. His love is constant, unwavering, and everlasting. There are moments when you may feel unworthy of such love, mistakes from the past, regrets that linger, moments of weakness where doubt and fear cloud your heart. These things may make you feel distant, as though God has turned his face away. But the truth is, nothing can separate you from his love. It is not earned, it is not bought, and it is not lost because of failure. His love pursues you even when you run, holds you even when you feel broken, and restores you even when you have nothing left to give. God's love is the kind of love that reaches into the darkest places, into the pain, into the struggles, and says, you are mine. It does not waver when life becomes difficult. It does not fade when you question your purpose. It does not abandon you when the world turns its back. Even when you feel alone, even when you are surrounded by silence, even when you wonder if anyone sees or understands your pain, God's love remains. His love is the anchor that steadies you when the waves of life threaten to pull you under. It is the light that shines in the darkest nights, the comfort that surrounds you when your heart is heavy. His love is patient, waiting for you even when you wander. His love is kind, offering grace when you feel undeserving. His love is strong, carrying you when you can no longer carry yourself. You may not always feel it. You may go through seasons of life where his presence seems distant, where the weight of trials makes it hard to believe in his goodness. But even then, his love is not changed. Even then, he is still working, still holding you, still covering you with his mercy. The love of God does not depend on circumstances, does not shift with emotions, and does not fade with time. It remains through every failure, every doubt, every storm. His love is greater than your past, stronger than your fears, deeper than any pain you carry. No matter where you have been, no matter what you have done, God's love remains. It does not waver with time, it does not diminish with failure, and it does not depend on circumstances. His love is not like human love, which can change with emotions, be broken by disappointment, or be withdrawn when expectations are not met. God's love is eternal, constant, and unshakable. It reaches into the depths of despair, into the loneliness of the human heart, into the places where hope feels lost, and it declares, you are loved beyond measure. There are moments in life when you may feel abandoned, forgotten, or unworthy. The weight of mistakes, the pain of rejection, the struggles that seem too great to bear can make you question whether you are truly seen, truly known, truly loved. But God's love does not depend on how strong your faith is or how perfect your life appears. He loves you in your brokenness, in your doubts, in your struggles. His love is not given based on merit. It is given freely, without condition, without hesitation, without end. When you stumble, His love lifts you up. When you are weary, His love gives you strength. When you are lost, His love calls you home. There is no valley too deep, no darkness too great, no distance too far that His love cannot reach. It is a love that pursues, a love that redeems, a love that holds on even when you let go. The world may fail you, people may disappoint you, but God's love remains. It is the rock on which you stand, the anchor in the storm, the promise that never breaks. In moments of sorrow, His love is your comfort. In seasons of uncertainty, His love is your peace. When everything around you feels unstable, His love is the foundation that never crumbles. He loves with a love that is patient when you doubt, merciful when you fail, and unwavering when you feel undeserving. It is a love that does not turn away in disappointment, but draws near with grace. It is a love that does not abandon, does not condemn, does not give up. No matter how many times you have fallen, no matter how far you think you have strayed, His love remains. It covers you, surrounds you, and calls you back into His embrace. It is not a love that needs to be earned, but a love that has already been given. It is not a love that runs out, but a love that overflows. It is a love that whispers to the brokenhearted, the weary, the lost, you are mine, you are loved, you are never alone. When life feels overwhelming, when burdens press heavily upon your shoulders, when uncertainty clouds your mind, prayer becomes the place where your soul finds rest. It is not just words spoken into the air. It is a direct connection to the one who holds all things together. Prayer is not limited to moments of crisis, nor is it reserved for the righteous alone. It is the refuge where hearts are mended, where fears are surrendered, where faith is renewed. In the stillness of prayer, the noise of the world begins to fade. The doubts that once shouted loudly lose their grip, and the worries that once seemed impossible to bear begin to shrink in the presence of a greater power. It is in these moments of communion with God that peace replaces anxiety, that hope rises where despair once stood. Prayer does not always change the situation immediately, but it changes you, giving you clarity in confusion, strength in weakness, and courage in fear. There is no requirement of perfect words, no need for eloquence or rehearsed phrases. God hears the whispers of the heart just as clearly as the words spoken aloud. He understands the prayers that come with tears, the silent cries for help, the unspoken longings that cannot be put into words. Prayer is not about saying the right things. It is about bringing your whole heart before Him, trusting that He listens, that He cares, that He responds. When storms rage around you, prayer is the shelter that keeps you standing. When the weight of the world feels unbearable, prayer is the place where you lay it all down. It is the reminder that you do not walk alone, that you are not left to figure everything out by yourself. It is the bridge between human weakness and divine strength, the pathway from fear to faith, from confusion to clarity, from sorrow to comfort. In moments of joy, prayer is gratitude. In seasons of waiting, prayer is patience. In times of pain, prayer is healing. It is not a last resort, but a constant refuge, an open invitation to come as you are, to be seen, to be heard, to be held in the presence of a love that never fails. There are moments in life when the weight of trials feels unbearable, when the pain seems too much to endure, when the questions outnumber the answers. It is in these seasons of hardship that doubt begins to creep in, whispering that there is no meaning in the struggle, no reason for the suffering. But every trial, every difficulty, every challenge carries a purpose far greater than what can be seen in the present moment. Trials refine you, shaping you in ways that comfort never could. They strengthen the foundation of your faith, teaching endurance, patience, and unwavering trust. Just as fire purifies gold, the struggles you face are not meant to destroy you, but to mold you into something stronger, something greater. Through trials, weaknesses are revealed, not to discourage you, but to bring you closer to the one who gives strength. There are lessons that can only be learned in the valley, wisdom that can only be gained through experience, and growth that can only come through perseverance. The road may be rough, the journey uncertain, but there is a reason for every step. Every challenge is an opportunity to draw nearer to God, to deepen your faith, and to discover the resilience that He has placed within you. Trials are not a sign that you have been abandoned. They are often a sign that you are being prepared for something greater. Growth is not found in ease and comfort, but in the moments that require faith to move forward, trust to stand firm, and courage to keep believing. In the struggle, you are being strengthened. In the waiting, you are being prepared. In the hardship, you are being equipped for a purpose beyond what you can see, even when the reasons are unclear. Even when the road is painful, there is a divine plan at work. No suffering is wasted, no hardship is meaningless. What may seem like a burden now may one day be revealed as a blessing. The very thing that seems to break you today may be the thing that builds you into who you were meant to become. Every tear, every battle, every moment of uncertainty is shaping a story of perseverance, faith, and victory. There are times in life when exhaustion sets in, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The weight of burdens feels too heavy, the struggles seem unending, and the weariness of the soul becomes overwhelming. It is in these moments that hope in the Lord becomes the source of renewed strength, the wellspring of endurance, the anchor that holds steady in the storm. Human strength has limits. The body tires, the mind grows weary, and the heart can become discouraged. But the strength that comes from God is not dependent on human ability. It is not measured by physical endurance or mental toughness. It is a divine strength that uplifts the weak, empowers the weary, and restores those who feel they have nothing left to give. It is the kind of strength that does not come from striving, but from surrendering, from trusting in the one who never grows weary, who never fails, who never abandons his own. Hope in the Lord is not just wishful thinking. It is a confident expectation that He is working even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It is believing that His timing is perfect, His plans are good, and His power is limitless. When everything seems to be falling apart, hope in Him reminds you that He is still in control. When exhaustion threatens to take over, hope in Him breathes new life into your spirit. Waiting on the Lord does not mean passively standing by. It means actively trusting, continually seeking, and faithfully believing that He will provide what is needed. It means leaning on His promises, resting in His presence, and allowing His word to be the source of strength when all else fails. The world may drain you, but God restores you. Life may try to break you, but God rebuilds you. Challenges may seem insurmountable, but God equips you to overcome. Strength is not found in self-reliance, but in complete dependence on Him. He renews the strength of those who trust in Him, lifting them above their struggles, giving them endurance to keep moving forward, and filling them with peace that surpasses all understanding. It is in the waiting, in the trusting, in the hoping that He does His greatest work, renewing, restoring, and empowering those who refuse to give up. Life can be exhausting. The burdens of daily struggles, the weight of uncertainty, and the trials that seem unending can drain even the strongest of hearts. There are moments when the soul grows weary, when every step feels heavy, when the road ahead seems too difficult to walk. In these times, it is easy to feel defeated, to wonder if there is anything left to give. But hope in the Lord is the wellspring of renewal, the source of strength that never runs dry. When human strength reaches its limit, God's strength begins. He does not ask you to carry the weight of the world on your own. He does not leave you to navigate the storms of life without guidance. His power is made perfect in weakness, and His presence is a refuge for the weary. Those who put their trust in Him will find a strength that goes beyond their own, a strength that lifts, sustains, and carries them through even the darkest valleys. Hope in the Lord is not a passive wish. It is an active trust in His promises. It is the certainty that He is working even when His hand is unseen. It is the assurance that He is present even when He feels distant. It is knowing that he does not grow tired or weary, and in him there is an endless supply of renewal. When you rest in him, he exchanges your weakness for his power, your exhaustion for his endurance, your despair for his hope. Waiting on the Lord does not mean standing still in fear, but walking forward in faith. It means believing that he will provide, that he will sustain, that he will renew. It means understanding that your circumstances do not define his ability, and your struggles do not limit his strength. No matter how difficult the road, no matter how weary the heart, those who place their hope in the Lord will rise again. They will walk and not grow faint. They will run and not grow weary, because their strength comes from the one who never fails. The weight of loneliness, the sting of rejection, and the frustration of unanswered questions can make it feel as if you have been overlooked, as if your struggles are unseen. But the truth remains, God has not forgotten you. He sees every tear that falls, every worry that burdens your heart, and every longing that remains unfulfilled. His timing is not like human timing, and his ways are higher than what can be understood. When it feels like nothing is happening, when it seems like the doors remain closed, he is still working behind the scenes. Just because you cannot see the plan does not mean he is not unfolding it in his perfect way. There are seasons of waiting, of refining, of molding, where it feels like you are wandering without direction. But these are not wasted moments. These are the times when God is preparing you, strengthening you, and shaping you for what is to come. He is not absent in your struggle. He is present in every moment, guiding you even when you cannot see his hand. His silence is never neglect. Sometimes it is the space where faith is deepened, where trust is strengthened, where patience is refined. God's promises have never failed, and they will not start failing now. What he has spoken over your life will come to pass in the right time, in the right way. He has not abandoned you, he has not turned away, and he has not forgotten his plans for you. Even in the darkest valley, even in the longest waiting season, even when the path is unclear, he remains faithful. His love is unwavering. His purpose is unshaken, and his presence is with you always. Through every trial, every season of waiting, and every moment of doubt, God remains constant. His love is unfailing. His strength renews the weary, and his timing is always perfect. The burdens you carry are not yours alone. He is with you, guiding you, sustaining you, and working all things for a greater purpose. No matter how difficult the road may seem, trust that he has not forgotten you. Your trials are not in vain. Your prayers are heard, and your hope in him will never be misplaced. Keep pressing forward in faith, for his plans are greater than anything you can imagine, and his presence will never leave you.